you.
From 7.
Alright. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vik from Rehearsal Vik. This I'm presenting is an amphora, which is a storage jar, which is used to kind of transport like wine or food. It comes from Attica, which is a historical Greek region which contains its capital, Athens. It is attributed to the painter Tarquinia, who was a famous vase painter during the during the mid-5th century BCE. It came to the Art Institute in I thought I said face. It came to the Art Institute in 1978, but we're not really sure when it was made. It's just mid-5th century. I want to talk about how, just kind of the style of the painting. This utilizes red figure technique, which is an important type of Greek vase painting. It was developed in Athens around 530 BCE. Became popular into about like a 3rd century BCE. It depicts like Greek mythology, cultural history, everyday life. And red figure technique is red color on like a black background. This replaced the previously dominant style, which is the black figure technique, which is the exact opposite. It's like when you make kind of a vase, it's shaped in different sections. So like the potter would like cut the vase in different parts and then assemble them together with a liquid clay called a slip. Back in Greek, pots were only red, so they converted the background black with the slip, and they used a fine stylus at the end to remove like the slip, which was kind of pretty. It was pretty noticeable because it would just be like a long straight line around certain parts of the painting. The figures themselves were accentuated with glaze lines applied by a simple brush. I think it's kind of interesting that the red figure technique replaced black figure technique because like the potter saw possibilities of using the background instead of kind of constantly delineating or like cutting into the images themselves with like incisions, which often made black figure pots, like the images on them were very crude. And also they decided to use glaze because it allowed for a better representation of Greek life. Kind of it made the women more accentuated, made the different objects come like highlighted in the foreground, etc., etc. Alright, so a little bit about Tarquinia. Very little is known about this guy. Almost no pots back in the day were signed or noted with any insignia, and the only reason we can even say this is from Tarquinia is there's an English classic scholar named John Beazley who dedicated his life to Greek like pottery. Don't know how someone does that, but and he found a way to like notice different hand techniques and styles in various pots. And the only reason we know this is from Tarquinia is because he marked them himself, Tarquinia RC1121, which is how we know which pots are from Tarquinia. Alright, the vase itself. Just to kind of limit the focus of the presentation, I want to just only talk about this side of the painting, which I find most interesting. Like I said, there is still very limited information about the vase and the images depicted, but the vase depicts a soldier, which is dressed in like a cloak or himation, and he's holding both a shield and a spear. And this side of the vase is intimately connected with the other side of the vase, which shows a soldier kind of at home or just about to go off to war, and he's kind of relaxing. And what we can infer from this side of the vase is that this is the image of the soldier that he would like to see him as. So like as a dominant figure, as someone who is ready to go off to war and is ready to fight and be kind of this virile man. He is kind of surrounded by a lion. I don't know if you can see it like right here, which is kind of used to symbolize that bravery and vigilance, like he's protecting him. When people see a lion, one might first conjure the image of Heracles, which is often used to depict in many Greek paintings as a lion. But in those paintings, the lion is actually almost worn by the man over his head. So you'll see the guy and the lion will be on top of him. This is just kind of wrapping him around his body, which I think is even more interesting because it is literally wrapping himself around the man to make sure that no one kills him. The symmetry of the women in the painting I find very interesting, as like they're almost side by side, just the same on each, which kind of elicits the image that there is an endless amount of women on each side of him trying to help him as they are kind of giving him various things. As you can see, they're like taking the shield and taking the spears to hold it for him as he is about to go off, which also kind of goes back to the idea of dominance and how these women are fawning over him as he is a soldier and as he is seen as a very manly individual. What did I do? I'm sorry. Some might say that he is Achilles. People have argued that, and I think a good idea of his Achilles is in a poem by Horace, Odes 1:8, which is actually the title of the poem is called To Lydia, which is like stop ruining Sybaris, which is essentially the poem is about kind of defaming Lydia and saying she's ruining this man's life, and they use Achilles as a metaphor for why she is ruining his life, and the Latin reads quid latet ud marinae filium dicunt Theetidis sub lacrimosa Troiae funera ne virilis cultus in caedem et Lycias pluriperit cateruas, which in English means why does he hide? Like Achilles, sea-born Thetis' son, has he hid before sad Troy as it was ruined, lest his male clothing had him dragged away to the slaughter among Lyrican soldiers. Which essentially is saying that they may, in the context of the poem, Achilles is hiding, but in the context of this painting, this was just to illustrate that Achilles is a soldier, he has manly clothing, he's a virile man, and he is, a son of a famous soldier, Thetis. And, part of my project is depictions of war, as they range from ancient to modern times. And as you can see, it's kind of nothing much has changed. Nowadays, people still depict soldiers as manly individuals, as someone who are ready to do what is necessary, ready to go off and fight. And as you can see in this base painting, it's almost the same thing, and I explore that in my paper.
Yeah. Very nice.